a stamp.
There.
A boy with a plate. A key on a ring.
Oh, gee.
A song about rain.
Found it. Yay!
2 striped socks.
There it is.
A spaghetti sauce face. A girl on a swing.
Oh, yeah, there she is.
And a snow-capped place.
Oh, mountains.
I spy a rabbit. 11 bears in all. A dog on a block, a seal on a ball, 1 red bottle, 1 rubber band, a wooden craft stick, and the letters in hand. I Spy is basically a game with language. You get a great big gorgeous photograph, and underneath is a riddle that will tell you all the things you need to find in the book.
I spy 4 horses, a peanut, a plane, 7 red stars, a colorful train, a chick, a fork, a 4-leaf clover, and the sneak who's kicking the dominoes over.
Walter does the photographs and I do the riddles, but we're always working it out together. While he's creating the set, I'll be collecting rhyming words for the riddle.
From the very start of the I Spy books, we sit down together, Jean and I, and we start talking about ideas. Jean is the word person, I'm the picture person, but she has input to my pictures and I have input into the words. Hi Jean, it's Walter. I'm faxing you something right now I want you to take a look at. It's a picture of the cemetery scene.
Okay.
We're just getting started on Spooky Night and it's going pretty well. We have a lot of work ahead of us.
There's a great picture of Humpty Dumpty, and I think that would be great for the tombstone in the front.
I think we really want to feature the tree now.
It's like the way kids work together in school. It's very important to be able to work as a team, to cooperate with each other, and to bring different people's ideas in.
5, 6. 6 blocks all together.
Teachers love I Spy because kids love I Spy, and so they can always get kids focused on an I Spy project.
5, 6, 7, 8.
The number spread in I Spy School Days was a fun project for me because I got to look at all my old props in a new way. Every object had to represent a number.
I think we're going to read our riddles first and then we'll play some games, okay?
In Funhouse, there's this wonderful picture Walter made with 3 mirrors. And all they need to do is make a little triangle house of mirrors and put objects in it, and they will see this happening.
Let's see, you put in 1 cow, but how many cows do you actually see?
Oh, wow.
Make some changes in that. Brittany?
You can use I Spy for language arts projects, writing, reading, communicating.
No, the other kind.
When I take the photographs for I Spy, part of my intention is to inspire kids to want to build something like a crazy contraption or to set up a domino race rally. I've really noticed that it does work. It inspires me to do more crazy ideas. They see the books and they do their own interpretations of them, so I just want to go back and do one better. I'm an artist who uses a camera. Dan, you want to set me up a little bit here? And my camera just sits in the corner for a week while I build a set or make a sculpture or build some sort of scene that I then roll the camera into place, light, and then photograph. The scene has to really come alive. It really has to be very exciting. And that's done by making a very beautiful and balanced composition. Just put the clear on the top. We think this will be the cover for I Spy Spooky Night. I think that's a better bulb for up there. It's not too spooky yet.
People don't realize how much goes into these books. For example, the Stegosaurus spread in I Spy School Days went through a lot of changes.
This was really a lot of fun to make because we really made it just like a kid would make it. I love working with ordinary materials, so I want to make sure that everyone who reads I Spy sees that this is ordinary cardboard.
Remember this one with the dinosaurs?
Part of the
I'd like to come up
inspiration
and
for
share
I Spy
this.
School Days came from actually visiting the schools and seeing all the wonderful materials and artwork that kids create.
Each spread has a learning activity embedded in it. For example, here, there's just a very simple game you can play. A is for alphabet, B is for balloon, and then you can look at all the objects around the letters. For example, C has a cardinal, and now you can say, well, let's take that cardinal. Where else could I put it? You could put it by R for red.
I really had fun working on this book. We also saw a twist to I Spy where we could really focus on the educational aspects.
I wanted to do mapping because it's a great school activity.
If an idea comes up, for example, the mapping shot in School Days, to use blocks yet again, I might say, no, I don't want to use blocks.
Once he started doing it, he just loved it. And he felt that he was working like a city planner.
And by the end of the book, I'll go back to the blocks and say, you know, I think this is a good idea after all. When we did I Spy Fantasy, we really looked for that sort of wonderfulness that kids imagine when they play by themselves or together. I was always fascinated with photography that seemed impossible. And when I worked for James Magazine, I got to figure out how to turn photographs into puzzles. Kids have some great guesses on how I did this stuff. You traveled to outer space, and you took the picture in weightlessness. When I said, let's do a sandcastle for I Spy Fantasy, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. It's one thing to say, let's build a sandcastle, and it's another thing to actually build one.
The first step when I look at a spread is to say all the words out loud. Our language is full of wonderful words. Light is good because you've got night, spooky night.
Jean has a lot of experience with school children. She really has a good way of knowing where young children can plug into ideas that are very sophisticated.
I've written over 60 books, and I bring to I Spy a knowledge of how important language is in books and interesting words.
Jean really likes to incorporate words in the pictures.
I feel like Gertrude Stein sometimes, just saying these words over and over again. A button is a button is a button is a button. People think it's easy to write the riddles, but it's not. There are so many considerations that go into it. The sound of the words themselves, even how they look and how they combine together. I really was drawn to poetry early in life, and so it's very natural for me today to write in rhythm and rhyme. It sort of organizes the world around us. You anticipate rhymes, you anticipate rhythms.
Who wants to come up and read this one?
That's why we love poetry and music.
I spy a mailbox, a feather, a flute, a horseshoe, a beetle, a basket of fruit, 7 pine cones, an apron, a key, a turtle, a swing, and the letter B.
People always want to know how I Spy began. It began when I was editor of a kindergarten magazine called Scholastic's Let's Find Out, and we received an interesting photograph from somebody named Walter Wick.
I had decided to organize some of the nuts and bolts and hardware that I had around the studio. And I had a box like this. I thought, well, this will make a good picture.
So we called him up and he came in and we gave him a job, which was to do a great big poster called Fasteners.
It still never occurred to me to do a children's book. And one day she called me.
The book editor said, you know, you really should do a book, and we did, and that was the first I Spy.
So as the I Spy books began to unfold, I had all these other interests and techniques that would just bring these pictures to life.
We knew the first I Spy book would be adored by kids who were 5 and 6 years old, but what we didn't know is that older kids would love it, and parents, very young children, 1 and 2-year-olds, would like it too. It's because the photography is so clear, so sophisticated, and I think that's why it works so well. One of the ways I explain to kids how Walter works is to show them this picture. It's the last one in I Spy Christmas, and I say to kids, how do you think he made this? Because they can't really guess that he used 9 boxes of baking soda, making little footprints with a tiny paintbrush and stuff, and they are in awe of it.
As each I Spy book has come along, I've gotten more and more and more props. If Jean and I were discussing a particular photograph that we're working on, she might say, well, I need something to rhyme with shoe. Shoe, blue, new. We go around like that. And if she lands on something like an animal from the zoo, well, I have a whole box of zoo animals right here. It's kind of a strange category, but it works for us. Despite the fact that I have all these props here, and I have seemingly every toy that's ever been made, when I work on a new picture, I often have to come up with some new items, so then I have to go shopping. Oh, that's pretty scary. What attracts me to a thing? What attracts me to a thing? It's a complicated question. So as a kid, I liked the Sears and Roebuck's catalog. It was my first I Spy book, really. Ever since I was young, I loved making things and building my own toys, just tinkering around with junk that my father had in the basement. I've never stopped doing that, really, and when I became a photographer, I incorporated that passion in my photography work. All right, I think we're going to put some shadows on the house now. We're going to make this house spooky. Okay, I'm going to paint in some of these tree branch shadows by painting black paint on the plexiglass. You really can get inspired just by going outside and looking at the way nature lights things. You work all day in the studio and you go outside and you say, well, gee, that's even better than what I'm working on. So you go back into the studio and try to make improvements. And this light is going to make the moon look a lot brighter, more exciting. My earliest photography was landscape photography. I still do landscapes now, but they might be constructed inside a cardboard box. Oh, I love it. I never knew any of this was leading to children's books. When we started I Spy, I felt like I'd fallen through a magic rabbit hole. This little guy doesn't quite fit on my head, but it might fit on yours.
Kids instantly identify with Walter. They just want to be Walter Wick when they grow up.
All hand-painted. B is for blue balloon. A D with a dozen dots, a monster. Patterns. This was fun. Zebra pattern, polka dot pattern, leopard spots, whatnot. Chirp, 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 chirp. Here's the good side. Here's the bad side. Percy. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your golden hair. Alice in Wonderland. Mass. Where are they? All just made out of pipe cleaners.
It's great. Kids try to imitate what he's doing. And in doing so, they learn a lot. They learn to really observe things more carefully, to think more critically, and really to be more spontaneous with everyday objects.
I would like to come up and maybe trace what might happen to that marble. Where do you think it might go?
The balloon popper is my favorite riddle. It's full of science, and I didn't want that to be missed. So it starts with I Spy a Marble, because that's where you start up here. I spy a marble, a clothespin clamp, fun, 2 keys, and a ruler ramp.
If we hammer to hand, a hammer way hot, a ticker way tan, a chalkboard shot.
Wow.
Walter's challenges often turn into questions for kids to pursue. They think about motion, scientific method, cause and effect. You can think about all of that when you look at the balloon popper and try to figure out what happens to that marble as it goes down the ramp and hits all these various things.
The balloon popper was a special challenge for me because here I had an opportunity to make a contraption that really worked. I knew that when I met kids and talked about this photograph, they would want to know if it worked, and I didn't want to tell them no. To get all these parts to work together right, we had to solve a lot of problems.
Yeah. Oops.
I went to his studio and looked at it and I said, well, you know, theoretically it could work, so maybe that's good enough. And he said, no, I'm going to get it to work.
Go to the helmet, pull that down, and the marble 4 go down like this.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
The sand go down, that 4 down.
Yeah. Do it. Do it.
Hit the train, go over, knock the dominoes down, hit the fork, the chair falls over.
Yes! Woo! All right.
I almost never go to the studio, but sometimes I visit there and see the work in progress.
Watch the lights
Oh,
dance.
look, that looks great.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea it was this big. It looks so different from the picture. It's all lights that make it spooky.
Yes, exactly. I wanted to show you the tree because
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that'll be great.
the tree itself is open enough that we can start adding wireframe shapes. Okay.
Oh, that's amazing. I can't
Yeah.
believe you did that.
That has
That's
been added
amazing.
on.
That's
And you
amazing.
can make them fill this negative space. I want to show you some of the props over here that we
Okay,
got. Some of the
great.
new stuff. We have always had a box called ghoulish things. Look at the eyeballs.
Those are great.
Spiders.
Weird.
Yeah.
What do you plan to do with these guys?
I just like to have them around for inspiration. You know, maybe we'll have them trailing up a tree or
Oh,
something.
that's good.
You really have to see these. These are great.
His photographs use lots of stuff that kids are familiar with. And that's what they like about that, and it gets them to take out those objects and start playing with them too. To play at your own rate. Now that's what I Spy gives kids. It's the closest thing to their actual playing